Hey, friends! Welcome to Spirit Club, a podcast and community that is all about doing the inner work to live an aligned and, dare I say, happy life. I'm your host, spiritual guide, and intuitive, Angell Kelly, and I'm here to share my teachings along with messages passed on to me from higher consciousness. I've also got incredible guests in store to help you go down all those spiritual rabbit holes. So let's go! Welcome to the club! Hey, Spirit Club. Welcome back. Sorry for the big old break. I'm sure you barely noticed. You got a lot on your plate. You got so much on your plate that this episode is like for you, is calling your name. This episode is for my hustlers, people who are highly productive, high achievers, those who work the grind, you know? And really, like, I'm saying it like it's a distinct group of people, but really this exists in all of us in some way because it exists in the collective and it is highly prevalent in Western culture. And that's probably because we have a lot of masculine energy. And I've talked about this before. Masculine energy is not good or bad, feminine energy not good or bad. We're always just looking at when we have too much of something. And in Western culture, we have had a lot of masculine energy built into our culture, into our systems, and all that sort of thing. And so taking a lot of action, producing a lot, the grind is highly valued. It's what we celebrate in Western culture. And I think that the feminine, with the rise of feminine energy overall, there is a call for more rest. There is a call for softer living, quieter living, more presence. And so that doesn't mean completely losing all the productivity, all the action of the masculine, but it's just a call back closer to balance and closer to center. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And, if you don't know me, let me tell you, being productive, being able to do the most and do the most the best was like my tagline. Okay. This is like the way I have lived my life, my entire life until now. So I was the person who was working a 24/7 job while having a side hustle, while showing up for her friends and family. And oh, you know what? Let's tack on a triathlon while we're at it. So I know what it's like. I see you and I'm on the other side. I'm happy to report. So I'm not going to talk about this like I'm some expert on soft living. I have been having a quieter, slower, more present life for like 5 months. But I am going to share with you what I've experienced, what I've learned, and what God wants to share through me. Okay? So let's do it. So we're going to start where we always start, which is, what is the belief that is underlying our behavior, our tendency to produce all the time? Well, the belief is probably something like, the only thing I'm good at is working hard. I only have value if I produce. How busy I am is a reflection of my success. Busy is the only way for me to survive. So those are probably some of the limiting beliefs that are lying underneath the surface of the way that you are being, the way that you are living. So essentially, we are putting being busy and being productive up on a pedestal. It is the best way to be. Let's cheer for it. Let's try to achieve it at all times. We do that culturally. That's not just you or I. So now let's think about some more empowered beliefs that we want to move into. And with these beliefs is an identity change, right? We're changing from the identity of this highly functioning, super productive, busy person to someone with more presence, someone who is more interested in being than doing. Okay, so some of those beliefs might be, my value is inherent. My value doesn't depend on what or how much I do. I just am valuable and worthy. Success, you might need to redefine what success looks like. So maybe until now, success has looked like achieving certain things. And now success looks like peace, happiness, joy, being creative. Um, Rest. There's a lot of belief around rest, that rest needs to be earned. So we want to shift into something more like rest is my birthright. Rest is as natural and important to me as breathing. Um, but most importantly, it's not important how much or what I do, but how much or what I be. Okay? Okay. So that's the shift in belief. And once we've worked on shifting that underlying belief. Now we're going to start talking about how the way we are in the world changes, how our identity changes, how our behaviors, thoughts, emotions change. And now I know that you want a slower, more spacious, quieter, softer life. So you better believe that there are going to be some things you have to let go of, right? I mean, there always are things that we have to let go of when we're shifting from one identity to another. But especially if you're shifting from a very busy, highly packed one to another, right? If you want that to be slower, there are some things, some fat that you're going to have to trim. So let's talk about, I've got 6 things that you're going to have to let go of if you want a slower, softer life. First thing is FOMO. You're going to have to let go of the fear of missing out. You're going to have to let go of the fear of not doing it all. And I get it. I really get it. We feel like we only have this one lifetime to do all the things. And you may be really lit up about a bunch of things, looking at you, manifesting generators in general. So you may be lit up about a bunch of things and you want to do them all. But what is the point of doing them all if you are unhappy while you're doing them? If you are not present while you're doing them? What's the point? Did you even experience it? Or do you only experience it as a memory now? So if you want a softer, quieter life, you will have to let go of doing it all. Okay, second thing is you're going to have to let go of being praised for your busyness. Like I said, in our culture, we put being busy and being productive up on a pedestal. We're like, that is success. Try to be that. Do everything you can to be that. So the more that you are being anything like that, the more our culture and everyone around you praises you. This was something I really had to let go of, because I can't tell you how many people would say, like, I'm so proud of how much you're doing. Oh my gosh, I wish I could do as much as you do. And eventually I was like, no, don't praise me for that. It's a sickness. What I'm doing is a sickness. And we need to not like clap at how I'm making myself more sick, you know? So you are going to have to let go of the praise. And this may be like a large piece of your identity. This may be the number one thing that people applaud you for. So that can be really hard to let go of, right? Because you're like, who am I if I'm not doing everything? This may even be why you were hired at your job. They're like, oh, her capacity is super high, hire her. So prepare yourself to let go of the praise. Next up, you'll have to let go of people pleasing. A lot of the time, people who are doing the most, super, super busy people, are also showing up for a lot of things and people that they don't want to show up for. So if you want a more spacious life, you're going to have to get comfortable with saying no. You're going to have to get comfortable with saying yes to more quiet, spacious time for yourself. So if you want more of a chat on people pleasing, I did an episode a few episodes back on this one. So go check that out. All right, next one. You're going to have to let go of being a victim to your busyness, using your level of busyness as an excuse for things. Okay. Uh, oh, I can't work out. I'm too busy. I can't focus on my health. I'm too busy. I can't have intimacy with my partner. I'm too busy. I can't show up to this thing that I said I would show up to, and now I'm canceling because I'm too busy. So when you shift to the identity of a slower, more present, quieter life, you won't be able to have busyness as an excuse to not do the things that you don't want to do. So you're going to have to look at some things. Some things are going to come up. When you make space, anything that you've been using busyness to hide from, to not face, is going to come to the surface. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I just want to prepare you. It's not like, oh, I'm going to live the slower, softer life and it'll be all flowers and pleasure and wine. No, there are going to be some things. There are going to be some monsters that have been repressed, suppressed by your busyness that want to be seen. And this is a good thing. This is a good thing. This is allowing you to be more whole and more healed. So yeah, prepare for that one. Next up, you will have to let go of the dopamine hit. The dopamine hit from being productive. You know the one I'm talking about? You have this list and you write it. I'm like, this is me. This is so me. You have this list, and every time you check off something off that list, you're like, that feels so good. Well, that, like, when you are a highly productive person, you are doing that all day long. And you are doing it many times a day, and you're getting dopamine hits each time. And I'm not saying that you're never going to accomplish something again. Of course not. Of course not. You're not just going to like be lying around till the end of time. You will still take action. You will still complete things, but you won't have that constant dopamine hit that the highly productive person has. So prepare yourself for that. And listen, when you don't have that constant dopamine hit, be careful not to fill it with some other dopamine hit. Similar to the one before when I was saying using busyness as an excuse for things, be careful and conscious to not replace the busyness with something else to not face what you need to face. I hope that's clear. Okay, and lastly, you may have to let go of your environment. So this has been coming up a lot in conversation with friends and clients. So I guess I need to speak to it. And it's really the question that's come up in my head of how busy we are, how productive we are. Is that a consequence of the environment around us? Or is that from us and then we choose the environment around us? And you guys know that I stand firmly on the belief that your external world is a reflection of your internal. So I'm going to hold to that and say that as you work to shift your internal, your beliefs around being productive, the identity that you have associated with being a productive person, and as you work to shift that into something slower, softer, and more spacious, your external environment may need to shift as well. Okay, so if you're working in this like super hustle corporate job, you may find that job falling away from you, either by your own volition, either by your own doing, or it will simply fall away because it is no longer a vibrational match. The same can be said for the city you live in, the house you live in, the people you surround yourself with. These things may shift, naturally fall away, or you may have to choose differently in order to live that softer life. All right, so those are the things that we are letting go of as we move into this identity of someone who doesn't have being productive on a pedestal. Now, there are a few things that we have to learn to be okay with. And I like to bring these things up because it may take some time for you to get comfortable with, like, okay, that the reality of this new identity I'm shifting into, I got to be okay with some things that I'm not currently okay with. So let me sit with that, okay? So you may have to be okay with people thinking that you are lazy. Yeah, how'd that feel? I remember that one was really hard for me. Yeah. I mean, if you aren't the super high producing person, if you're someone who values rest and really slows down, people who still believe that being productive is king are going to look at you and they're going to be like, what does she do all day? What does she even do? What does she do? Can you be okay with that? And let me tell you, you can. It's very freeing when you get to the place where you're like, I don't care. Like here, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing, beautiful thing about Greeks is they don't ask what you do. They not really, they haven't really asked about work much at all. They don't know what I do. They may think that I lie around all day and Shane makes all the money. Whatever. Do I care? I do not care. So, this is something that you'll have to be okay with. You will also have to be okay with disappointing people. One, because you can't people please so much. You have to say no to things in order to have a more spacious life. Therefore, you may disappoint people, especially if you're someone who says yes to everything and shows up for everything. And that is part of the reason you are so busy. So, disappointing people in a people pleasing way, and also disappointing people who have learned and people who gain from how much work you've generally been able to do. You know what I mean? So like, let's say you work at a restaurant and you're that person who like picks up extra hours, stays longer than you're asked, all that sort of thing. As someone who's no longer choosing that identity, you aren't going to work so much. And that's going to disappoint your employer, for example. So you'll need to be okay with disappointing people. They'll get used to it. It's okay. And finally, you're going to have to get used to less contrast. So, what do I mean by this? I think if you're listening, if you've listened this far in the episode, you are a highly productive person and you know the feeling of grinding, 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 and then like pleasure, relaxing, having fun. And there's a real high and low there. It's quite a contrast. When you are no longer using your energy in that way, pushing it to its very end and then like fully relaxing, you won't feel those extremes so much. It will be a lot more steady and constant, your energy. And you may have a bit of an addiction to those extremes. That's how it works. So you'll just have to be okay with steady Eddie, not the super highs that come after the lows. All right. So we have the things that we got to let go of. We have the things that we have to be okay with. And then we have to talk about the things that we will need to build within ourselves in order to shift into this new identity of a softer, quieter, slower, more present, rested life. And really, it's just one thing. And that is you need to build your capacity for being. I cringe because I know it's like a bit of like what's that? It's a bit of like a buzzword, but it's true. It's a buzzword for a reason, okay? It's more about being than it is about doing. So that means not filling every blank space with conversation, with plans, with being productive and getting something done. That means taking a longer time to do things. Like taking a longer time spent with others, longer time, I don't know, on your walk, whatever it is, because like pressing things for time generally has to do with being productive and getting things done. Your being will, in general, we're talking about presence here. So it's going to be about bringing your senses back, looking around, smelling the air, really tasting food, being present to each moment, not planning ahead, not thinking about what you're going to do next, not moving into what you're going to do next. This was a really big one for me when I got here. I was so used to being productive with every millisecond of my life and habit stacking and all the sorts of things in order to compress as much as I could into every minute because I had a lot to do, you know. So when I got here, it was like a habit of like, when there was space of filling it with doing something, filling it with goals, filling it. And yeah, it took some deconditioning, deprogramming, but don't worry, I got there. And what also comes with presence is feeling more. Maybe it won't surprise you, but a lot of the time when we're being super, super productive, guess what we're not doing? We're not actually feeling feelings. We don't have time to feel feelings. We don't want to feel feelings, so we are productive, whatever it happens to be. Generally, we're not really feeling our feelings. We're not being with them. We're not allowing them. We're not letting them be in our field and then shift into whatever they want to shift into. Usually, when we're really, really busy, we're just trying to make them better so that we can go on about our busyness. So that's been a surprising one that has come up in this slower, softer life is feeling more and having the capacity to feel more and just being okay with feeling more. It's pretty beautiful, actually. Okay, so that's what I got today on shifting from this like hustle grind life that I was the friggin' queen of to moving into this softer, quieter life that I'm really grateful for and that I don't for 1 second take for granted. And I just want to close on one final thing. We have a tendency to be like, one thing is good and one thing's another, and productivity is bad and soft is good. And before it was productivity is good and soft is lazy. And, this is what we do as humans. But it is a spectrum, right? And what's very clear to me is that every one of us has a unique way that our energy wants to be used in the world, that our life force wants to create. And this is where human design really comes in clutch because it can really give words to the way that your energy wants to move in the world. But even beyond human design, like I'm a generator, which would say that like being super productive is probably one of the more comfortable places for a generator. But I've just been feeling it out and it has been so fun. Like when we first got here, it was too much space, too much rest, too much peace, if that is possible. And so I would start to bring in little bits of work, but consciously, not to like, oh, I'm uncomfortable with that feeling, let me hide it. No, I was just like, okay, I see that I would like a little more contrast with my energy. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of work. I'm going to feel how that feels. Oh, is that too much work? How would I like the work organized? And I sort of gave that masculine structure to my feminine rest, my feminine ease, spaciousness, creativity, and it feels super good and super aligned. So there is a specific recipe for you too, and it's not going to look like anybody else's. And so you'll have to feel into that for yourself, and it can be really fun. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and I want you to know, those of you who are working so hard and like have no energy and are doing all the things and producing, I just want you to know that I see you, I pray for you, and If you need any support, I hope this episode helps you. Otherwise, you can reach out to me and we'll see what we can do there. Okay, till next time.